lectures are about critical discourse analysis and newspapers, and we are supposed to see that how ideology is underpinned in them. So let me read the definition of critical discourse analysis again. Given the power of the written and spoken word, critical discourse analysis is necessary for describing, interpreting, analyzing, and critiquing social life reflected in text. Discourses can be used for an assertion of power and knowledge, and they can be used for resistance and critique. So at the same time as discourses are there, they are used for assertion of power and knowledge. But whatever power and knowledge you are displaying or representing or reflecting through them, there are opposing discourses as well, which are called discourses of resistance and critique. So discourses are used in everyday context for building power and knowledge, for regulation and normalization. So, we normalize the behavior and attitude of the people through our discourses. So when the people, they are born in Pakistan or in, Islamic society, or people who are Muslims, so we know that what kind of behavior we have. For example, we normalize the people. We give, azan in the ear of the, newborn baby, and telling the world and telling the baby that he or she is born in an Islamic society, in an Islamic family. So we use discourses to normalize the people. Okay. So this is what it is being talked about here. Discourses are used in everyday context for building power and knowledge, for regulation. So we regulate the people, we regulate their behavior, we regulate their understanding of the world. Okay. And normalization for the development of new knowledge and power relations, and for hegemony. So we, build and constitute our hegemony over the other people, over the other world. We try with the help of knowledge, with the help of power. So excess influence or authority of one nation over another. Now, it is very important that we should understand what is meant by ideology as well. Ideology is the set of beliefs, set of beliefs. Ideology can be defined as the norms or rules, the points or objectives through which the things stand. Every culture and civilization has its own specific ideology. Ideology may be personal or collective. Okay. So there is cultural ideology, there is religious ideology, and orientation that is characterized by the thinking of a group or a nation. Like we have got Pakhtun culture, Chitrali culture, then an institution to express belief in a divine power, that is Islamic ideology, Christianity, and Judaism. So in this way, there are different kinds of ideologies. Okay, there are different kinds of identities, and we have talked about, again I repeat, ideology is a set of beliefs. Ideology can be defined as the norms and rules, the points and objectives through which the things stand. Okay. So in our today's lecture, we are supposed to talk about, newspapers, and to see that how ideology permeates, how ideology underlies them. Okay. How ideology is stated through them. Now, newspapers, they offer us texts. They offer us, multi kinds of discourses, different kinds of texts. Newspapers, what they are giving us, they are giving us texts that are a common form of written discourse. But along with these, written discourse, there can be some pictures, there can be headlines, there can be something, okay, which is foregrounded, which is highlighted, and within those discourses there can be certain things, okay, which are backgrounded as well. And ideology resides in those texts. So whatever newspapers are being published, that in Pakistan, you will find that Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is written on them. Okay, so these things tell us, even Islamic dates are given. They tell us that these newspapers, they are having ideology, they are following those ideology. And now I come to the question of Osaf as well, and I think Osaf has joined us now. Osaf, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here, sir.
Okay. And your question was that these media houses, they have got policies, and these policies are, they are controlled by the government. So no doubt, some portion or some of the things related to their policy making, okay, they are controlled by the government. They are controlled by the power structures. So in power structures, we have got, of course, government, we have got, courts, we have got establishment. They all do control the media, okay. And some of the houses are completely controlled by them, like PTV. So PTV is a government, channel. So it is controlled by the government. Okay, so it talks about the policies of the government. It always presents, okay, the point of view of the government. It talks about, it foregrounds that how government is thinking about different kinds of issues, and how it is projecting them, how it is reflecting on them. But there are certain media houses, okay, which they do not toe the line of the government, but they do present their own point of view as well. But if we look at the, okay, bigger picture of the umbrella, so some of the, policy making decisions which have been taken by the government, even those channels, they cannot go against them, but they do, support the, opposition parties. And then, what happens to these channels as well, sometimes they also suffer, okay, at the hands of the government. So no doubt, all over the world, media is controlled by the government policies, okay, and the power structures, they do control them. And some of these things, okay, you cannot go against them, but of course, you still have certain some freedom. So you do show certain point of view, okay, which is given by the opposition party, and sometimes, okay, you foreground their point of view, and you background the point of the government. But on PTV, for example, which is controlled by the government, always the point of view of the government is foregrounded, and opposition point of view is backgrounded. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other question related to ideology, newspapers, and how ideology is presented in the newspapers or reflected in the newspaper? Okay. So let me repeat again. In our today's class, okay, we have talked about discourse, ideology, and newspapers. And lectures have already been uploaded and links have been shared with you. And we have talked about that ideology is a set of beliefs. It also represents your norms, culture, rituals, okay. And people usually cannot go against their ideology. Then I took one question, okay, put up by Osaf, that how media is being controlled by the government or the policies of the government, and I gave its answer. So still, if you have any other question in your mind, you can ask me.
The importance of ideology can be like told in newspaper, in discourse, in written
देखें, we
discourse.
have talked about that. Thread Gold has already said that no text is ideology free and no text is 100% objective. And usually ideologies are not clearly stated. They are always kept hidden. Some of the ideological things are clearly stated, but most of the time when you want to bring about certain changes in the behavior of the people, in the thinking of the, people, then you use ideology in, subtle ways. Okay. So ideologies, you are supposed to find out, you are supposed to discover. They are never clearly stated. जैसे आइडियोलॉजी क्या है कि भी अगर वो मुझे कॉल नहीं करता तो मैं कर लूंगी, ठीक है। अब ये अगर इफ somebody is asking you, okay, that male and female should sit together, तो आप कहेंगे कि भी this person is not a good person, क्योंकि उसने क्लियरली ये बात कह दी। बट मीडिया क्या कर रहा होता है, मीडिया कह रहा होता है कि भी इट इज योर लाइफ, यू शुड मेक द डिसीजन, हु आर योर पेरेंट्स, व्हाई शुड दे मेक योर डिसीजन। तो ये भी तो आइडियोलॉजी है ना एक किस्म की, which is being inculcated to you that you have got freedom, that you should make your own decisions. तो ये subtle ways में ideologies जो होती हैं, they are stated, they are not clearly stated. अगर clearly state कर दी जाए, then people will come to know about them, और people will start speaking against them. तो लिहाजा माशरे के अंदर एक आसान से तरीके से subtle ways से जो है वो change लेके आई जाती है. जी, any other question?
Praised in newspaper.
For example,
like as being a Muslim, like women's are like they have given a certain amount of position in Islam, like there is. So in newspaper, in order to keep women that way, they like put things in the way, like जैसे वो इस तरीके से करते हैं कि वो आप लोगों को ये बताते हैं कि उस औरत ने ऐसे ऐसे किया और उसको ऐसे ऐसे कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस सफर करने पड़े. तो अगर आप इस प्रॉपर वे में नहीं जाएंगे तो देन योर बिलीव्स लाइक विल बी शैटर्ड, लाइक इस तरीके से वो बात करेंगे.
वो तो
like
हमने, अगर if you remember, I have just talked about, let me share again the definition of critical discourse analysis. ठीक है, वो क्या था कि discourses are used in everyday context for building power and knowledge, for regulation and normalization. So some of the discourses, they are shared with you, they are put in front of you that they are normal and they are there to regulate your behavior. तो वो आपको ऐसी डिस्कोर्स इसलिए सुना रहे होते हैं कि आपको उन्होंने रेगुलेट करना होता है, आपको उन्होंने कंट्रोल करना होता है, माशरे को कंट्रोल करना होता है, माशरे को रेगुलेट करना होता है. तो यही तो पावर होती है which they carry, okay, for themselves, and they disseminate that power, they share that power through discourse. तो डिस्कोर्स आपको नॉर्मलाइज भी कर रही है, आपको रेगुलेट भी कर रही है, आपके बिहेवियर को भी रेगुलेट कर रही है. तो लिहाजा ऐसी चीजें, वो स्टोरीज आपको ना सुनाएं कि भी when they went against their parents, when they went against the society, when they went against the ideology of their society, so these consequences they had to suffer. तो क्योंकि मैंने आपसे कहा कि कुछ ऐसी पॉलिसीज बनी होती हैं, they are supposed to follow those policies. अब मुस्लिम सोसाइटी है तो ऑफ कोर्स यहाँ पे कोई मुसलमानों के खिलाफ बात तो नहीं करेगा ना, या हमारे कल्चर नॉर्म्स या होली प्रॉफिट नाउज़बिल्ला या इस्लाम के खिलाफ तो बात नहीं करेगा, और ना ही हमें माशरा इसकी इजाजत देता है, या हमारी पॉलिसीज इसकी इजाजत तो नहीं देती है. तो हमने तो लोगों को रेगुलेट करना है, लोगों को कंट्रोल करना है, उनके बिहेवियर को नॉर्मलाइज करना है. तो नॉर्मलाइज करने के लिए ऐसी डिस्कोर्स कोई माशरे में फैलाया जाएगा ना, which everybody will accept, which everybody will say yes, it is the right kind of discourse which is being disseminated, which is being spread. तो ये चीजें तो होती हैं फिर. Getting my point?
Yes sir, yes sir. So it could be easily manipulated as well.
हाँ, तो बिल्कुल मैनिपुलेट तो की जाती हैं. मैनिपुलेशन के लिए तो सारा कुछ किया जाता है. आपको कंट्रोल जो करना है, आपको 100% फ्रीडम तो कहीं भी नहीं मिलती ना.